It takes time and patience to build a large organization, right? And I think a lot of times we want that to happen now, so we think we got to get these big growth numbers, but I don't think that's necessary all the time. But a big vision, it inspires you, it inspires people around you.
Membership is almost kind of like, it's like expensive marketing in a way.
Well, I think it can be at first, but then
Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and this is the Plumbing and HVAC Hustle Podcast. And today I've got Aaron Gaynor on from Eco Plumbers, electrician, and HVAC. Technicians.
Yes, yeah.
How you doing, sir?
Good.
And we're talking about creating accountability systems and a big vision. And in your case, hitting around 75 million this year, it sounds like?
Yeah, that's what we're on pace to do this year. We're
That's
up
amazing.
Up 33% from last year right now. So things are going well in a market where I think there's some struggles, but there's always winners. And if you focus on the right things, you can win.
What's a comfortable percentage of growth at this size? Like, is 30 sounds kind of fast.
Yeah, I mean, it can be fast. I guess it just kind of depends on where you are with vertical or horizontal growth. So yeah, I think it just depends on how your structure is built, what you feel you need to do. I don't think everybody needs to be pursuing the $100 million mark or 33% growth or whatever. It's like just growing your business sustainably year over year, really focusing on maybe a 10% growth year over year, and doing that really sound and great is a great model, by the way. And you can scale that over time and build something great. It takes time and patience to build a large organization, right? And I think a lot of times we want that to happen now, so we think we got to get these big growth numbers, but I don't think that's necessary all the time.
And so I feel like there's a little bit of softness in the market right now. And I think that that's something I'm hearing from people, but then people like you are growing your company 33%. So is there anything different about the growth this year, like that you would point to that would be like, you can see some softness in the market, like home services market? Like, how do you feel about that? What is your mindset about that?
I think, I guess, I mean, obviously there's a mindset, right? And I don't disagree that there is some softness in the market. I mean, we just come out of a couple of years of COVID. I think overall we felt pretty strong about the market in a general sense, right? The economy, there's inflation, rates have been high. I think we just came into one of the highest car repos in the last 8 to 15 years is happening. There's a lot of things that are making the market credit approvals have become a little harder. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of things that have happened that are making it harder. That's for sure. I'm not denying that, and I don't think I like to live in a reality, but I also like to live in a idea that you can still win in every market because there's opportunities to win, right? And it's just instead of saying, woe is me, what are the things that everybody's up against? Like, well, how do you find solutions for that? How can you adapt? What is your, what service lines are you adding or not adding? What offerings do you have that you can win? Maybe there's some, I don't really always recommend it, but at some level, maybe there's some margin hit that you have to take to keep growing, expanding in the time right now that typically you may not have done. So you have to be adaptable, adaptable.
When everything's gangbusters, I feel like we all get a little sloppy too.
Yeah.
Like you're like, everything's good. So you just kind of like, you double down on what's working, but there's some weaknesses that you got to fix. And sometimes whether the tide goes out, we'll see who's naked. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like that's a little bit of what I feel like happens in the softer market times.
For sure.
Hopefully there's also some people that fold.
Yeah, there's people that fold doing it. I mean, I lost a business once before.
How long ago was that, by the way?
It was in 2007, so right in that housing crash. So I understand. I've seen something similar to this, right? That was a devastating time in my life, and the reality was that I didn't really own a business. I owned a tax ID. I worked for builders and contractors and other people that controlled my destiny. I wasn't really business sound. I didn't really have a great business mindset. I was more of just a contractor, which is nothing wrong with that. I knew how to do plumbing. I knew how to run projects. I knew how to do all the work, order all the parts, do all the things. But I technically did not actually understand business, marketing, sales strategy, operations, all these things at the right level. So I think now it's like in these times, it's just a chance to really go down to those fundamentals, really start to study those and learn those. And that's how you're going to become great, right? It's go back to, tracking the best leads I can, looking at my call center, making sure I'm booking the best percentages, fighting for those leads in the market, really getting adaptable in the house and with your customers and trying to find out what they really want and need, and really working your, we call it service system, or your process of selling. Like, how are you doing that? Are you really being authentic? Are you really finding the solution for them? Or are you just trying to find a solution for yourself right now, right? Really paying attention to customer acquisition, and then building a lot of value around like memberships. If you're into that, I think memberships are very important to build your base up over the next couple of years in a market time where other people. Are you
pretty into that?
Yeah. Right now we're really heavy in memberships. Our idea in memberships is more around bringing more value to the membership than it costs. A lot of times, I think we've seen over time, we sell a membership just so we have another way to sell somebody something later, which is part of the strategy. But the main strategy is let's sell somebody a membership because we want them to truly be a member, and we truly want to deliver great service to them, and we need to deliver on that service at a really high level and maintain that furnace and AC system at the highest level possible for them. Make sure that we're doing a full true plumbing inspection every single time, or an electrical inspection. So I think that's very powerful and important.
There's some old school guys that don't believe in memberships.
Yeah.
Still, is that interesting? Like, what would you say to those old school guys that don't really believe it? They think it's too cheap of a thing.
I guess I guess where are you as your business and what are you doing?
There's some good guys. There's some guys, I mean, not like maybe not 75 million, but there's some like 20, 30 million dollar guys that are like, oh yeah, we don't do that because we don't want to sell those hours at that rate or whatever. So there is an old school mentality sometimes against that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's many mentalities. It's just the mentality that's culturally fits your company. I don't think you have to have memberships, and you don't not have to have memberships. I guess it depends on what fits your business. For us, we decided the last couple of years that we really wanted to build a membership base and build value to our customers to protect their systems and spend the money on that operationally. Mm-hmm. We understand that sending guys to go do membership calls doesn't have a great margin. And there's a longer game in that, but we hope that we build a lot of know, like, and trust through our membership base, that when it is time to purchase something, we've added enough value and enough trust to you that you'll say yes to us to get the work done instead of shopping, going around these other places, because we've actually really spent time running memberships at a high level.
Memberships is almost kind of like, it's like expensive marketing in a way.
Well, I think it can be at first, but then it reduces marketing costs over time, right? So at first it's expensive to launch a membership program and to get all the trucks up and all the training in place and all the cost to get a real membership up off the ground and doing is a heavy operational lift. I mean, it just really is. I mean, right now we're getting ready because we're selling about 1,000 memberships a month right now.
Holy
We just got ready to launch a class of 18 HVAC technicians.
That's incredible. School. That's so cool.
Yeah. So right now, so that's a big investment, right? So we're selling these. We have to fulfill them, which then means we got to go higher, and then we got to we have 18 HVAC techs going into our we call it our EcoU program, and they're training, learning, and then they're going to grow from there.
I love that quote yesterday about like whatever business you're in, your education for your employees. I don't know who said that on the panel yesterday, but that was good.
Yeah,
I love that you're doing that.
I think that the business is your school. It's your educational platform for your employees, right? That's basically why. I can't remember who said it yesterday, but one of the guys, maybe Tom or maybe it was Chad Peterman, but. Yeah, I mean, you have to be able to educate people in the school, in there too. I think a lot of times when we go out and say, I want to hire this experienced person, they need to know how to already do the work. It's like, so your expectation is that everybody already needs to know how to do everything before you hire them.
Yeah.
Like, you still have stuff you need to learn too, right? So somebody else has to go spend all the time to teach these people, not you. You're just going to hire them already taught. Like, that's fundamentally that's not scalable.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a scalable work, because then you're always going around depending on how good other people teach them to say that I'll hire them. And you need to be able to have a program where you can teach people to bring them up in the industry.
Also not a new idea, but a lot of times they train them wrong.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, I mean, you don't know that till you get them on. And there's a lot of good, great people doing training, but the point is, like, you want to get them and train them how you want it to be done.
Let me bend your ear on a separate topic real quick. Your marketing spend, how do you think about brand versus lead gen? Like, do you guys do a lot of brand community stuff? Anything that like just is basically about getting the logo and the vibe out there, like the brand messaging? Or are you pretty heavy on lead generation?
I think, so we do it all. Like, so we do radio, we do TV, radio, billboard. I consider those more mass media branding. We obviously are on digital platforms everywhere. We do, SEO, PPC, Angie's List, Angie's Ads, Thumbtack, all the digital stuff. And then yes, we do social media stuff, and then we also are off doing stuff in the community. Right?
What is the marketing budget for a $75 million company?
So
like
right
how much
now,
do you spend on marketing?
Yeah, it's about $7.5 million right now in marketing.
All right, so 10%.
Yeah.
10%.
Yeah, for growth.
I like that. And like, if you broke that out, like, let's just say anecdotally for a second, like what percentage would you say you think of as like think about Angie, Google, all that stuff versus like brand?
I'd still say probably about 60% of our stuff is spent of like AdWords and Google lead gen stuff. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Because then we spend the other 40% on mass media branding, right? We used to be very much heavier on lead gen, especially plumbing demand business. But as we transitioned to multiple trades and then building a brand story to reduce those costs over time, because people now are searching directly for us. And we want to be able to build something relatable in the marketplace. So we went in and said, okay, how do we build a brand story? What does that brand story sound like? Why would people care to work with us besides I'm the best at what we do it better than anybody, all the same stuff that everybody says.
Yes.
You need to find a new message, a new way to get people interested in your business. Building, like I used earlier, know, like, and trust through your brand story, and having some fun with it, right? Having fun and getting people to think about you differently than just, hey, when you need us, we're gonna make sure that we do your water heater right? Like those things are that's the same story over and over, and you should do it right. But people, the public don't really care. You care about that more than the way they look at your business.
Is there any like examples you could give us of like a messaging type thing that went live that you like, that's like about like getting people to like you guys?
Well, I think one is I think it's about being your authentic story. So whatever your story is, if you feel comfortable, you need to have a story to your business, right? Your brand story is you as a founder or CEO or partner or whatever, your family, and trying to identify what are the opportunities in our genesis story as an organization that resonates with people in general.
What were yours?
Well, I mean, mine was, I came out of I joined the trades, not from family. I just, by stumbling into it. My bankruptcy was a story. We put this on the radio. I mean, these have literally been on the radio ads, right? Yeah, I was bankrupt. I lost my business. I was sleeping on the couch at 28 years old as a single dad with my 3-year-old son at my mom's house. Shared that story. Share stories about my dyslexia and how I've overcome that and still grown the business. Like these, and then stories about some of the people on our team and our journey. Like those are things that are relevant to people. They connect. They're emotional connections, right?
You're a human being.
Yeah, you're a human being. And now I'm out here being a human being and sharing our experiences, and people are like, you know what? I like that. I want to work with that person because of these things. And that's just my examples of mine. And then obviously we have offers too. When you have the big is like, how do I build this idea of like, what does it look like to hear your brand and brand story? And then you work the funnel down, right? Then you go into call to action ads and other things as the funnel works its way down. And I think that's just, you have to understand a marketing funnel to the sales.
Yeah, what are some of the offers that you think have performed the best for you guys?
I think, we've done drain offers. 93 or It's Free has been big for us for 7 years. We had zero drain business about 7 years ago.
What is it, 93 or It's Free?
93 or It's Free, drain clearing. Basically says, hey, if we don't open up your drain, you pay us $0. Okay. If we can't open it, you pay us $93.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's a great deal. Yeah.
Great deal, right? So we've done that for 7 years. So that was the leading offer for us when we started in drains. We're a plumbing business, but we didn't really do drain cleaning and sewers. And we just said, all right, we're going to go all in. We need a clear offer precise offer and something somebody else doesn't have in our market. 93 or free is, you know, in other markets. It wasn't our idea. We found it through other people doing stuff. And then we said, let's put this to work. And
you don't have to come up with everything custom all the time.
No. I think that's a mistake. A lot of people want to overdo it. I do think you need to find your unique stuff. Like your story is unique, right? Your things are unique.
But
the offers don't need to be super unique. They can be innovative in some places, but they don't need to be unique.
I also think that people make the mistake of wanting novelty in their own marketing and switching stuff up too much. Like once you find something that works, hammer it.
Yeah, I mean, we still run 93 or free 7 years later.
That's amazing. See, that's the thing. It's like once you find an offer, until you can tell people are fatigued of it.
Yeah, I don't think people become super fatigued over something that's relevant to them over and over, right? Like, I think we as contractors or business people get more bored of a message or something going on than the community does.
Exactly.
Because like they're not thinking. We think they're thinking about us more than they are. They're not.
Yes.
They're only thinking about us when they need us, and that's why only less than 1% of the population needs us every day. So that's why running these offers over and over every single day redundantly is necessary, because most people have never heard of it.
And I will say too, that's why you guys shouldn't be afraid of posting. I know you're not on social media.
I
don't
really do social media,
but you should, like, for the folks that are on the come up, going from 3 to 15 million. If you're posting for your business, don't be afraid to post multiple times a day. No one cares. No one saw the other 10 that you did that day, even if you did 15 or that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, like that's like running radio ads all the time. We run a lot of radio ads all the time, and people, we get people that call and complain like, I'm tired of hearing your radio ad, but that's usually a very small percentage of people that listen to one station all the time. Most people are not on one station all the time. They're flipping around. They're listening to different stations. It takes them a while to hear the message. It's usually the people that are doing, listening to the station over and over and over, that they get the ones that get fatigued from it. And then people get nervous because somebody calls in and complains, and then they think they got to blow up. But when you really think about it, it's like, out of all the people who are hearing this, how many people are actually complaining about a message that's playing? And just be okay with that.
I'm so sorry for interrupting. Yeah. Are you intentionally irritating people a little bit with
absolutely.
with the ad? Like, do you make the ad a little irritating?
Yeah, 100%.
There's a tactic here, irritation advertising. Frankly, most of this stuff kind of fades into the background. So even if you can cause a little bit of emotion, even if it's a little negative, like, you cut through with that, right?
Yeah, of course. You want to be a little disruptive. You do want to be a little annoying. Like, your marketing has to have a little bit of annoyance to it to remember, right? Real. Yeah, and that's fine, because then when the problem happens, they'll remember you. And then you go deliver the great service, and they might go from maybe irritated about your messaging a little bit, to I called you, you showed up, you delivered, to now you're the hero, and I'm going to tell everybody that.
Exactly, because it really comes down to the customer experience. It doesn't matter how they remember you, but if the customer experience is,
how you deliver it once you're there. Yep.
Then it spreads.
Yep.
They're not like, oh, I remember that. God, that radio ad really undermined the fact that they cleared up my drain.
Yeah.
They're just happy that it's done.
It's done, yeah, and this experience will speak for itself.
Still a lot of money chasing these transactions. There's still really good outcomes out there for sellers. It's good to have someone like us in your corner, because we're not emotional, but guess what? When you're selling your business, it becomes emotional, and so it's really good to have an intermediary, there every step of the way. www.sfpadvisors.com. All the contact information is directly on the website.
All right, let's get some of these couple questions we got about accountability. In a $75 million business, has got to be difficult. What are a few things, like specific systems, that you guys have to help create accountability on your? Maybe let's start with your executive team, and then like down through the organization.
So we used EOS.
Ooh, I love EOS.
Yeah, so we use EOS.
Yes.
We've used EOS for a long time, and I think that operating system is perfect. The book Traction, if anybody hasn't read that, should read that book. It's already frameworked. You don't have to overthink it. You don't have to recreate anything. Just do it.
Do you have an implementer?
We did have an implementer for years. Now we run ourselves, self-implement and run. And it's never perfect. I mean, EOS is never, it feels a little clunky at times. Sometimes it feels like good rhythm, but the structure is there. It's just, you just got to go to work. The thing that we have done and other people have done, but some of the things that we've done at times really well, is like not trying to like mess with the things that are proven models. Like people are like, well, I don't really like this one thing about EOS, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I think it should be this way instead of that way. It's like, well, what have you actually done that gives you the right to say it should be this way versus that way, right? Like go run the actual model of the stuff. And then as you get bigger and scale bigger, yeah, things do change. Like the infrastructure of EOS does become a little harder to run at a larger organization at times, the way it's built. But right now, like if you have nothing, do the things that already exist and do things that are proven. And a majority of everything that we're still doing today is all off the EOS process. Like we use EOS-01 software for all our meetings.
Yes. Okay.
We use the EOS model for our level 10 meetings.
Yeah.
We do rocks. We do quarterlies.
By the way,
we do the
well,
VTO, the Vision Traction Organizer.
You got the accountability chart.
Yeah, accountability chart. So
there's just a lot of tools in EOS.
Yeah,
like
there's
just a ton, and it's basic tools that they kind of curated a little bit. It's not like they made up the accountability chart or or like your core values, but I do think too, I self-implemented for a few years before we got the implementer.
Yeah.
And my God, it's so much better when you get an actual implementer. Like I was reading the book and just trying to do it on my own. But just because there's some things you don't know, like the level 10 meetings and like how that actually works, it's really, really good. We use 90.io for our stuff.
Okay.
Which is basically like similar to EOS-1.
Yeah.
But we have rocks, right? For the leaders, the executives, the leaders, and then I think we are like looking at the department level rocks right now. Like obviously there's like certain levels where they have rocks per department.
Yeah.
How deep does that go in your organization before? Obviously your techs probably don't have like rocks, but they have goals. Where does that kind of go to?
Yeah, I think it's depending on how up and down you are right at times. So there's times where I think we try it. We've tried many ways to do it. We've tried to do where everybody has all these rocks all the way through the organization. Then we have times where it's just real high level and they all kind of stem off of our thing. So more recently what we've been doing is like, hey, we have 3 organizational rocks and that's it.
Okay.
That's it. Now I get that then maybe places will have, they have their budgets already. They know their KPI numbers.
Sure.
They know all this stuff, right? So they're doing more, let's call it maybe initiatives on.
You guys are tracking those in there as well, KPIs?
Yeah, we have every KPI.
And that's in EOS-1.
Yeah, the EOS-1 is in other systems, but yeah, we have scorecards that they go through. So some of the stuff for the frontline or manager departments is really the KPIs and managing the KPIs. So they're constantly doing that. I think a lot of times what we've learned, like we've seen, is we try to bring our frontline managers into these rocks and all these initiatives, and it takes them away from just operating the business, right? Like, hey, if conversion is off, you know what you need to do is you need to go back and retrain and work with your team. If you have recall issues, you know what you need to do? You need to do training for your recalls. And these are followed off the scorecard. Yeah. And this is just ours. Again, like I said, I think at times we try to make it too complex for us. Like, hey, you got to put a plan together. You got to do all this stuff with these rocks. So they're working on this rock as a frontline manager, like a plumbing service manager is an example, right? And I'm not saying they shouldn't have some initiative, but the reality is like their world is these KPIs in the experience of the homeowner every day, right?
And it's probably they have like 3 KPIs they're really focused on every,
And that takes up so much time just to do those, right? And stay on top of that.
And that's where you really make money. You don't make money from like, all right, let's do this fancy initiative.
Yeah, exactly. I like so, and I think we've seen that as we've grown, trying to understand that more. And then we also have got bigger where we do have like a trade line manager. And the trade line manager and the GM's job is to really work on the initiatives together and roll those out and then get their frontline managers to buy in. But we have not been giving like our frontline managers rocks as much as they know the KPIs that need to happen. They know their budget and they can see where the techs or the field are making mistakes and do that. And then we just try to develop their leadership. Like we have them go to like leadership training classes. Internally right now we put together some leadership training programs and we're trying to get them just to develop their natural leadership besides saying, hey, now you need to do projects and all these things. And it's not a lot of people, it's not their skill set. And then we got to teach them it, but it takes time to develop into that. But we put a rock together and then we do a project plan and then we work with groups. So we give one person the initiative and then we bring groups in around it. So like we did our membership, and I think we did memberships this year, which I mentioned earlier, membership growth. But we put a rock together, and then we said, okay, a high-level organization, how am I involved with this rock? How is our project coordinator involved with this rock? And then we went down through departments and brought people in individual meetings. Like all the managers came in on meetings. We called them manager mixers. They come in, we met with all of them on them, got feedback from them. Then we took it out and brought it into the field, had breakout sessions with our field techs to have them come in and talk about it. So we really got people engaged through the process of rocks. And when we were simpler, like 3 major initiatives, it's easier to work those up and down than it is that everybody's off doing all these other rocks throughout the organization that sometimes don't even align with the main mission.
Yeah, because like no matter what, when you really set up those big goals, the big goals usually have the most like sticking, and there is value to subtracting. If you had 10 major things, like I think one of my favorite things about our implementer is like he puts the whole list out there, but we have to come up with the top 3. Yeah. And that's just that is super valuable.
Yeah, that is. And it's hard because there's a million things that you could work on, right? And then there's also things that are they too granular? Like, are they too, for an executive team, like, why are we, if we're trying to work on this, then do we have the right people down here?
Yeah.
Right? And we've done that. It's like, well, why, like, we should bring awareness to it, but if it's floating all the way up here, then there's some major problems from here all the way up through here that we need to go attack. And we need to go bring that back to them and say, this is your job to fix these things, not us to put this together as an initiative.
I do know the $3 to $15 million guys probably are a little, if they're watching now, they might be a little deeper than they're normally thinking about. So let's bring it back to those guys for a second. What is the value of a big vision? Talk to me about, like, if you were that person that's at 3 to 5 million right now that's trying to set up their longer term vision for where they want to be. Maybe they want to shoot for 10, 15, 100 million. Like you've set out a goal for 100 million. What is the value of that, and how would you suggest they go about making that decision? Because you shouldn't just choose that just because it sounds great.
I think, so first, I think having a big vision or some vision is important in general. Big book for me was Think and Grow Rich. It was really about setting like a vision for yourself, pick a number, and then grow into that number. Yeah. So it's like, what are all the things you need to do? If you're going to be $100 million business, and then how are you going to develop yourself into that, right? And I think that's some of the conversation here the last few days. But a big vision, it inspires you. It inspires people around you. Book Think and Grow Rich, or not Think and Grow Rich, Good to Great, talks a lot about this. I think they call it Big Audacious Goal. Yes, is the terminology there. I don't know if I got that right. It's been a long time since I read the book.
Big Hairy Audacious Goal. That's what it is. Yeah. BHAG.
Yeah, BHAGs. Because that brings people along. It gives them some reason to believe in it. Now, the thing is, it has to really be real. It has to be something you really believe in, not something you think makes you sound cool, or something that you think other people are going to think sounds cool. Like, I didn't know anybody that knew $100 million businesses. I didn't even know anything about it. I did it for me. I'm literally driving around in a truck at this time, pretty much by myself, a couple of people.
You said it then?
Yeah, I was saying it then.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
If I had no idea that this was really even a thing, I wasn't part of Nexstar, I wasn't part of any groups, I was part of nothing. It came to me.
How long ago?
I mean, probably 15 years ago.
Well, just like giving people this seed of hope. Like, it's crazy that 15 years ago, you were just in a truck and you're probably like under a couple million. And
100%. Yeah,
that's just incredible.
I mean, this business has been around 17 years. Yeah, right. 15 years ago, I mean, I'm still driving around a truck. I mean, up to probably 10 years ago, I was still out running calls, doing stuff. Even 10 to 9 years ago, I was still running sometimes sales calls, sometimes to close a bigger deal or do something, right? But I guess to the point of this is like, I'm not here to discourage anybody from goals, but I've mentioned here and a lot of other stuff today. I hear a lot of people go, I'm going to 100 million. It seems to be the new kind of trendy benchmark. Like when we were coming up, like people are like 20 million was it? And I just hope that people are doing it because they truly believe that's what they want to do and that they think that they really can achieve it, not because they think that that's what they need to say, right? If you want to build a great $20 million business, just own that. And people will come along on that. And the people will come along on that want to work in a business that size, that fits them, that. You have a great culture, you have a lot of fun. You can build, you can go from good to great. And the idea of like running a great business at $20 million. Sometimes businesses get bigger, doesn't mean they're greater. right? They can be go from good to not good as the bigger they get, right? And that's the challenge I think that we've seen as we scale too, and some of my friends that have too, is like a lot of things change in that business. But I think it's just setting whatever it is that you truly believe and passionately want to do, and then understanding the vision of what that organization looks like, whether it's a $10 million business, a $20 million business, or a $100 million business, or a $250 million business, whatever it is, and understanding like, who do I need to become to do that? Are you really going to spend that much time to become a person that's going to run a $100 million business? Because that takes a lot of time and energy. Does it fit your lifestyle? Like your lifestyle? Do you need to have a $100 million business for your lifestyle? You know, or is it just an ego thing, right? So all those things.
Honestly, I have a $5 million business and I don't really need much else. I'll be real. Like every once in a while I'm like, I don't really know if I want to go to 50. There is an ego thing there. You know, it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Huh? Yeah,
and I'm stoked. I'm like excited. I like growing. It's fun to grow.
Yeah.
And I like to think that we're going to make a good impact on the world. But there's so much pain in growth. And I'm sure you've experienced that where you had to, because new levels, new devils, that whole thing, just the discomfort that you have to go through as you grow. Do you think is there ever been a time where there's been a period where it let up, or there's been some like, you felt like business got any easier?
I don't know if business got any easier. It got different.
Yeah.
It probably got harder in a different way, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was going wrong. Like it was hard doing the work in the field every day, running calls from, you know, getting up at 5, getting home at 11, getting up at 5, getting home at 11. You know, yeah, I mean, maybe I don't physically work the hours that you did, but you know, you work different. You know, there's a lot of more mental stress and obligation, and you know, millions and millions of dollars of debt that you know have. Lots of jobs on the line, a lot of responsibility to your team. Hundreds of people that work for you that are counting on you to show up every day and do stuff. You know, you need to be your best version of yourself almost every day. You're human. You're gonna have days you're down. So there's a whole nother level of like expectations and understanding, big numbers to hit, reporting numbers to the bank, you know, to meet with, right? Because they want audits because you owe them a lot of money for vehicles. You know, audits coming in, being audited by the IRS, all types of stuff starts to happen when you start hitting these scales. It's like, so do you want all these things? And then if you get big enough and you want to sell, like selling the business takes a whole nother part of you. Or if you sell to an equity partner, are you ready to realize that if you're the CEO and you report it to an equity partner of your business, are you ready to understand that you're gonna have to do presentations to them every month? You're gonna have to do quarterlies. You're gonna have to run all these things and present to the board. Be ready to present to a board. Are these things to do it? We don't. We have like our own senior leadership that we have started to like move towards like acting as though we are operating to a board. We don't have a board. I'm the Mike and I are my CFO, owners, but we have a executive team. I guess we'll just call it that, a leadership team. And we're starting to report to ourselves and how we do it as if we were to be talking to a board.
That's nice. That's smart.
Yeah. So we're already starting to do that from having friends like Tommy, who sold their business, Ishmael, some other people and Tom Howard's insight, and a lot of other people just
Let's talk about that for a second. Like you're obviously around these circles now of higher level entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
When did that start? Did that help, or did you do that after you already kind of pushed into the multi tens of billions?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I think I want to say Tommy and I may have met like 5 years ago, maybe. I can't remember exactly.
It's crazy how far Tommy's come in the last 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, and even us when we think about where we were 5 years. So I think we all kind of found each other in some way through, you know, groups. And Ishmael kind of put us together. Like Tom Howard introduced us all in many ways, cross that, and then Ishmael kind of grabbed and put us all in a group message. Say, hey, let's all be in a group message, so we can try to talk and support and share stuff. So, and that probably happened, I don't know, two or 3 years ago. I can't remember. I mean, the years kind of go by, so don't hold me to the exact times and dates there.
I'm just trying to create my own little squad. Like,
well, yeah, and I think I've had different groups of people as we've gone along. I had a lot of relationships at Nexstar, maybe not as tight net as this group here, but I do think there's something about, you know, whether men or women, getting together to do something. I do think there's something about, I'll call it a brotherhood just for this conversation here, not to take away from whatever womanhood you want to maybe call it too. So I think both, regardless, but you need a network. You need people to bounce ideas off. You need friends that are in the industry. You need friends that are similar to you, have the same goals and ambitions as you to drive each other, right? And if that goals are to run a great $5 or $10 million business and, you know, and enjoy time and build that out, and you like being in the trenches of that work, and you like to have more freedom in that area to, you know, maybe have less responsibility, spend time with your families, and people like to get together and do other things together on the weekends, like, then that's perfectly fine. Just find that group and understand that's what you guys are all enjoying and doing, and then do the best of all of that you can do together. Right?
What would you say your group, the frequency is? Like, because you just kind of mentioned a kind of a group of types of activities that a group might want to do together, because it doesn't all have to be like enterprise growth. Because what would you say your guys' group, because it's a cool group.
Yeah.
What is the frequency that you guys are on? What is the vibe?
Well, I mean, it's still very much grow.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it's very much like, you know, what are things out in the industry? I think we share our numbers to try to make each other better. We share what we're doing to try to inspire each other to know that there's companies larger than me and the group. And there's guys that, you know, that there's guys like below, I guess. But either way, it's really just about growth. It's about challenging each other. Fitness had become a big topic for us, of all getting back, getting in shape, doing stuff, working out. So we push each other there. DEXA scans, weight, how much have you benched? There's other stuff going on there. You know, what are new things in the marketplace that we didn't find? Like, I heard about Rilla, and I shared that with Tommy, and then it went around and we started getting that, like technology stuff that we share that's in the industry that we hear from other people or friends.
Shout out as a sponsor.
Who's that?
Yeah, Rilla. They're a sponsor of the show. So
okay, there, Rilla.
And you like them? You work with them?
Yeah, I mean, I invested in Rilla.
Yeah, awesome.
So yeah, I think there's great stuff there. And so to your point, I guess it's just like there's an array of things, right? And then sometimes it's just like you saw even on stage yesterday, like the digging at each other, having fun. You know, you need some of that too, because it's not all just enterprise conversation, right?
Yes.
It's a little bit about, you know, giving each other some shit, right? Having fun, poking at each other a little bit, you know, calling each other out on stuff here or there for fun. And you need a little of that to lighten it up and actually have some fun too. Because if it's just all enterprise and talk and it's like that also become kind of exhausting. Now, do we all get together in person together as much? Not really. I mean, I think people probably think we get together like every month and we're all over.
You see the picture every time you guys do get together.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and so we do get the opportunity. I mean, I think between the group, Tommy and I are probably, I would say, probably the closest. And I go to Arizona. My son goes to ASU, so I get to see him a lot. So him and I built a really great friendship in that group. And then I think there's pockets of people that are friends in the group, a little bit more here or there. But the reality is like we still almost text every single day. There might be a couple of days here or there in between of, you know, there's a weekend or a holiday. But even in the holidays, we typically all text each other, hey, Merry Christmas, whatever, right, quickly. There's a lot of activity in the text on a regular basis. I mean, I'm getting serious, like probably every single day. This isn't like where we all don't talk for weeks. We might not see each other for months and months, but we pretty much are talking. And then every month we do a call. Most of the time, most people can get there. Sometimes you can't. And we just get on the call and we run through some numbers. We talk about some problems. We share a couple of things that are going on. And then we all go back to work.
I dig it. I call that hustle buddies.
Yeah.
Hustle buddies, and you got to get yourself some hustle buddies.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to get people that are doing stuff that's cooler than you. You got to help people that are earlier than you in different ways. And you know, the funny thing is, I like doing these, and is there any other questions that, you know, people always ask, hey, can I pick your brain? And I try to do these shows with people. I know you're one of those people that people are always trying to pick your brain. Yeah. What other questions did I not ask that people are always trying to ask you to pick your brain on that we could?
I don't know. I think it just depends. Like, there's so many different people are different sizes. Yeah. So they have different questions at different sizes, right? Like, I'm out trying to get questions for what is the next size of mine? What does equity look like? What are these things do? So I'm picking people's brains for these things while still trying to understand the operations. Like, I still go try to talk to guys that are doing frontline stuff because there's things that you start to either forget about or they're doing something kind of cool that that they're finding their way, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I can say what the thing is. It's, I mean, most people really do want to like understand like scaling. How did you get to 10 million or 20 million, 30 million? What are the things that break?
Any two or three tips on that particular question then?
Again, I will say the biggest thing is always everybody wants like a tactical thing that'll change their life. And I hope we've heard that the thing that changes is you. Like, are you willing to spend the time to really invest in you? Are you really coming to these events? Are you really building a network of friends that can help you? Are you really reading all the right things to invest in yourself? Are you actually spending the time and investing in yourself, right? To be able to actually be the leader that people want to work for. A lot of companies get stuck, not because of the operation. They think it's this operational thing. It's them, the problem, right? I had a guy yesterday, or I think it was yesterday I was talking to here. He's like, well, I'm in a septic business and my region is only this big, so I can only be this big. It's like, okay, so you've already created a story about why you can't do all these things and why you can't do them. Then he's like, well, I have ADHD and it's really hard for me to do. It's like, I have ADHD and dyslexia. Like, these are all stories, right? And I was being transparent with him. Like, I mean, if you're gonna ask me, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that's what you want. I don't want to sugarcoat it. I said, so in your region, you're telling yourself all this stuff, but there's other opportunities. If septic can't grow in this area, what are the other things you could do? And are you willing to do the other things? And so I think it just really comes down to is, how do you view yourself, as Keith talked about here too, if people were in that event, and what is the identity of you, and can you deliver on the right ideologies and philosophies to your team? And then you can go get the tactical stuff. Like, the tactical stuff's actually available to everybody. That's the simple part. Like, you can go get the EOS book and sign up on EOS software right now. We could literally get done listening to this podcast, order Traction, get it on Audible, actually listen to it, sign up for EOS One, and get that and start running those operations, even if you don't have an implementer.